that Pakistan plotted Pahalgam and that the three main perpetrators were Pakistani. They came from Pakistan. The arrest of two men who allegedly harbored the terrorists involved in the Pahalgam terror attack is a significant breakthrough in this investigation. The two brothers, identified as Parvez Ahmad Jothar from Pahalgam's Butkot and Bashir Ahmad Jothar from Hill Park, possess crucial information that could establish important linkages, top sources have told CNN News 18. According to sources, Parvez and Bashir have revealed the identities of the three terrorists who allegedly gunned down 26 tourists in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam on the 22nd of April 2025. Additionally, they know about the whereabouts of the terrorists after the attack. The sources said these two individuals provided shelter and food to the attackers 3 kilometers from the attack site at the Basaran Valley. They were fully aware that they were terrorists and even served them tea, they said. Now, CNN News 18 had earlier reported on these routes these terrorists had taken for escaping. Route 1, the terrorists could have reached Pahalgam via the Kishtwar, Takshum, Larnu, Chatpal, Ashmukam route. The second one is the Avantipur, Tral, Sirigwara and Pahalgam Adil. Now, Adil is from the Guni village in Sirigwara, which is mentioned in route 2. The Guni village is just about 15 minutes from the area where the attack actually happened. Now, on the one hand, Pakistan talks peace, gave credit to President Trump for brokering peace between India and Pakistan, etc., claimed that Bharat is very, very clearly and vehemently denied. And on the other hand, Pakistan stands exposed as the biggest exporter and sponsor of terror. Now, what happens next? Can we take this story to the world and expose Pakistan? Does Pakistan deserve to sit even in that rotational chair in the UN Security Council as its chair? Does it have any locus standi? Or should now Pakistan be penalized, sanctioned, rather than be lunched with? Ambassador Deepak Vora, former diplomat, with us. Tilak Devashar, author and former member of the NSAB, with us. And Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey, former GOC 15 Corps of the Indian Army, also with us. My namaste, Jai Hind to everybody. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to have you gents with us here on the right stand, taking the right stand in the interest of Bharat. Ambassador Deepak Vora, क्या करें पाकिस्तान का बताइए?
I wish I had the answer. Thank you very much, Mr. Narasimhan. Always a pleasure. It's so wonderful to be with you and to be with the General and Mr. Tilak Devashar. Both encyclopedias in their own way and unmatched. अब आपने क्या करें उस देश का? मैं इसका एक जवाब देना चाहता हूँ आपको. All right, I'll go and scream in Latin America. I'll go scream in Africa. I'll go scream in Mongolia and Vanuatu and Papua New Guinea. Who cares? Do you think they're even worried about what is happening in Kashmir? Take it from me, they are not. I'm special advisor in 3 African nations. When I go talk to them, look at these terrible fellows from Pakistan. They say, "Arey, kahan hai Pakistan? Hamare to unke saath sambandh hi nahi hai." I mean, what kind of rubbish is this? If they are beating up on you, you go beat up on them. So I do believe, sir, that all these jokers who say engage with Pakistan, they can send all the engagement rings they want, buy them from wherever they can get and go and get engaged to the Pakistanis. The only solution to my mind, and I'm speaking as a 74-year-old Bharati, 52 years in diplomacy, is to do what we can bilaterally. And with our friends, raise our voice wherever we can. We have the global south. We have 125 nations there. But if you go on screaming too much, and I've seen this in my career, every time Kashmir, 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 there was Kashmir fatigue amongst the rich countries. They are not going to sanction Pakistan, sir. They have vested interest there. The European Union fellows, they all want something. The Americans, of course, wanted Pakistan to fly their wretched aircraft out of the Pakistani air bases and go beat up on the Iranians. And the mullah was invited, not because Donald Trump is enamored of Islam, but because this guy said, whatever you want from Pakistan, Ji Janab, it will be delivered to you. So that basically is the thing. We have to go it alone, sir, is my understanding, and we are doing it. The fact that we are isolating them, the fact that trade is gone, the fact that they are hurting, the fact that the water is being stopped, the fact that we will be, overflights, etc., they will have to come to their knees. But the Islamic arrogance that they have, I'm sorry to have to say this, is not going to let them bow before us anytime soon. So Pakistan is a living tragedy that we have to learn that we are living with. There's nothing I can do about it.
But we have to do something about this nation, because it cannot be allowed to use its geostrategic location as a tool for it to be able to do what it is doing to Bharat, Tilak Devasharji. What's the answer? Because Bharat claims that at all points in time that the Lashkar was involved, it came from Pakistan, orchestrated by Pakistan, and also eventually executed by Pakistan and Pak-based terrorists, is now out in the open. Yes, there were some OGWs who gave them some logistic support here. They will be brought to justice. But what happens with this nation? How do we, is pounding these places and then backing off with Operation Sindoor, is that retribution enough? Because this is going to come back 2 years from now.
Anand, thank you for having me on your show, and always a pleasure to be with such distinguished luminaries. You see, I think I would agree with what Ambassador Bora said. You have to do it yourself. See, there was a time when we would run and play this game of dozier, and try and tell the world, "Dekho Pakistan kya kiya, Pakistan ne kya kiya," and people would listen and probably laugh behind our backs. But if you have a problem, sort it out yourself. It's a hard world, Anand. And while we may document Pakistan's involvement in terrorism, you think you can do anything about it being a member of the Security Council? You can't. It's a chairman of one subcommittee. Also, it's been elected. He's the army chief under whose watch Pahalgam took place, has been launched by the US president. And while we think that they should be on the FATF grey list, they won't. They won't get onto the FATF grey list because now with the US posing up with them, they're going to make sure that they are protected. So ultimately, we have to do this ourselves. We are convinced, and now even NIA has come up with the proof that these were Pakistanis belonging to the Lashkar-e-Taiba. I wouldn't be surprised if they had some army background. So whatever we have to do has to be done ourselves. And Sindoor, you mentioned, it's only paused. The operation is not over yet. And I wouldn't be surprised if, in the days, weeks, months ahead, you have a part 2 of Operation Sindoor to finish what you had started to do. So I think the NIA's investigation are extremely important because they establish something that we already knew. Now it's something you can tell everybody else about it, but don't depend that the world will come and say, oh, Pakistan is a bad boy. They're not going to say it. They won't do anything about it even if they say it. You have to stand and do whatever you need to do. And if we persist, for example, with holding the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance, that in itself is going to make Pakistan sweat. And I mean literally sweat, because they're going to be thirsty as hell. So, things like this, and as we have always believed in, calibrated escalation. You've done one thing, you took out their camps and their headquarters, the markers. In the next step, you probably go for the head of the snake, which is the army, the ISI, which is, and as the Prime Minister said, we will not make a distinction between the terror and the terrorists and their sponsors. So I think it's a calibrated escalation. Collect all the information, document it, but ultimately you have to go it alone.
But what do we do with this doctrinal kind of obsession, General Pandey? If Iran has a doctrinal obsession to wipe out Jews and wipe out Israel, the Pakistanis and at least the Punjabis there, Sunni Punjabis there, who are sitting there they have a doctrinal obsession somewhere, to cleave Bharat into multiple pieces like what happened in Pakistan in 1971. But more importantly, this obsession with Kashmir. It's a doctrinal obsession.
Yeah, okay. So, Anand, what I'll do is firstly, when you are speaking in a panel with eminent people like Tilak ji and our very handsome young Deepak ji, who's so knowledgeable, then, coming from military professional, थोड़ा सा वो लगता है, अच्छा नहीं लगता. But I will try and still answer your question in a couple of broad heads.
You know, I love
Okay,
this
let's
mutual
look into the
admiration
geopolitical
society.
part of it.
I just love this. I hope viewers do
Yeah.
too.
No. So I know
But all
in
of
the
them,
pecking
all of
order,
them,
I'm
all of
very,
them,
very,
all
low.
of you, sir, all of you.
Yeah.
When you come with amazing perspectives, which just increases the scope of
And
understanding and
Anand, sir,
worldview for
Anand
everyone.
catches up over with his handsomeness and everything
नहीं
which he
नहीं
comes
सर
about.
मेरे को
on
तो
this.
आप बाहर रखिए आप तीन ही ठीक है जी प्लीज कैरी ऑन जी
Chairman of the Admiration Society.
Okay, so let me just
Hey,
take
you are the
in
Mullah
geopolitical
Munir
world,
of our
sir.
society.
जी
Yeah, so
Go ahead, sir.
there is in diplomacy where everybody is nice to each other. Even when a major terrorist strike takes place and everybody knows whose hand is behind, hardly anybody speaks a word in this thing. So there is somewhere, I don't know why this whole thing about in Indian population, political leadership and diplomatic environment, that we want somebody else to come and endorse that XYZ is the one who's behind a terrorist strike, right? So let's keep that thing off the table. The second is let's also see that who knows Pakistan, as the Honorable Ambassador is so rightly brought out. People aren't concerned. Today everybody is consumed with their own respective problems of economy, of near geopolitics, of oil, trade. There are other challenges, nobody is interested. The third is that everybody in the world, in the top hierarchy, in the leadership, they don't like Democrats, right? If you are a elected prime minister or a president of a country, you are there possibly here today, tomorrow you may not be there, and there is a challenge in dealing with you. They all love, and especially the Western world, which has ruled through a colonial system, they are extremely very, very comfortable in talking to medal-covered a general or an autocrat or a dictator who comes representing a country and says, okay, I make a deal and therefore I will, now when I go back, I'll enforce that deal down the throat of the people of my country. I don't care, right? So this is a geopolitical. Now when you connect Pakistan with the US, there is a mutual, not US, I'll say the UK, where the colony legacy has gone to the Americans. The major part is that every general, top bureaucrat or politician or a businessman, his home lies in UK. You just have to track out US and some of them into US, right? So they are going to, after retirement, after problem, in a problem, sometime when they get disgraced, they know where they have to go back, and therefore there is a very, very great mutualism which is happening between these nations and with the Pakistan's top leadership. Okay, I will now just keep this point aside, right? So therefore I believe, and what Tilak ji is also saying and Deepak ji is saying, that we should not get into this whole world that somebody is going to tweet that Pahalgam hua, uske piche Pakistan ka hath tha. People are not going to take the name of Lashkar-e-Toiba and they don't care, right? When a brown guy blows up, the white world doesn't care about you. And you look at the down the food chain, when hundreds of Africans are getting killed, the UNSC head doesn't even tweet, right? So there is a food chain in the color system which exists in the racist world, and we should not start looking at these answers. Now coming into this part of, again, it has been found that there are 3 Pak terrorists. We must make a dossier. Dossier for whom? I think we need to make a dossier for your opposition parties, your within the government people who were the naysayers. There were people who came out and said that this is possibly a false flag operation. There are people who are leftist who went onto the streets to say that why did we have to go for Sindoor, because Pahalgam ka pehle sach dhondo. So I think we need to prepare these dossiers and rub the noses of these people who have come out, tweeted, spoken about it. They should be called out and taken and shown these faces and meet these 2 jokers who are now telling that, I made a very controversial statement that the Supreme Court people and Aman Ki Asha people should be taken to Pahalgam, and it became viral. Similarly, I'm again saying that all these people who have not tweeted and said things about Pahalgam, maybe, vote ke liye kiya, Bihar ka election pass mein aane wala hai. How terrible we can be to make such statements, especially in such an environment, because every statement which is made now becomes digitally permanent into the environment of this whole internet space. and will be used. Every statement here is being used by the Pakistanis and our people who hate India or who hate Hindus in the rest of the world, that okay, this is what is happening, and it's possibly a false flag operation. I think let's sort out this point at least at home and rub their noses in this proof which has come out.
No.
Now coming on to actually what is going to happen, let's be realistic, right? This what you have said, there is a thing called strategic orientation of a country. Like Iran did not have. Iran developed their strategic orientation somewhere in 79 after Islamic Revolution. So to compare Iran with Pakistan will be incorrect. Iran is a 7,000 years old civilization. Today, because of certain reasons, it has gone possibly off track, off ramp. It can come back to its own original roots and be again great if they want to. In case of Pakistan, Pakistan is an artificial entity. Their survival is based on a strategic orientation in which they need to have an enemy which is there, constant, which is anti, which seems to be anti-Islam, and therefore they will hate the number of Muslims which are there in our country. And that is how they are trying to keep their country bound together, which is getting fractured. And I can assure you, right, and Anand, that everything which I predict generally happens in just matter of couple of years.
Sometimes it takes 27, but it still happens.
Other parts. Yeah, it will happen. It will happen. It will happen very fast. It is happening very fast now, because pace of the change which is happening in the world is becoming quite hastened up because of technology which is there. So this will happen, right? But the fact of the matter is that you may launch 1,000 Op Sindhurs, 1,000 Balakot strikes, but ये जो कुत्ते की पूंछ होती है, this tail is never going to get straight. They are going to come back and do something silly because they are silly people. Especially, the Sindhis, the people who are in Balochistan, the tribal area guys, the people who are living in the hills, they are pretty okay. They aren't bad people. Pakistani people are not all bad. But this Pakistan, Punjab, and the Muhajirs who have gone from India, they are something very, very bad people. They can never change, right? It has to be remembered this point, and they will keep on taking the country on the downslide. They will come back and they will strike at you again. So Op Sindur may be in a pause. I am quite surprised that the second incident has not happened. Maybe Israel, Iran has taken over. But the next event is round the corner to challenge the government that now you come back to us for a war and then we'll teach you, right? Because they know war is not a great option. So I think they will again continue to instigate and try and put down the present government.
Well, joining us now is a person who's been not just very outspoken about the historic and the cultural connect that the region of Sindh in Pakistan has with Bharat, but also is a champion of the Jai Sindh freedom movement. Zafar Sahitoji is with us. Zafar ji, namaste. Thank you
Namaste.
for
Namaste.
thank you for making the time.
Thank you.
Let
Thank
me
you.
first ask you, you've recently said that the balkanization of Pakistan is the only way forward. Now, that's a very strong statement to make. Why do you say so?
Because Pakistan is in a natural state and it was created as buffer zone by British to encounter Russia at the time and to stop spreading the socialism and communism. But it is the time now to balkanize Pakistan because it is affecting India. It is affecting whole region. It is promoting terrorism. It is sponsoring terrorism since long. And the identities, the cultural values, the spiritual connections of this whole region, which was Sapta Sindhu of Indus Valley civilization, is we are losing it since the creation of Pakistan and the ideology of Pakistan, which is promoting Arab-based culture, Muslim theology culture. It has become a theocratic state sponsor of terrorism. So these are the main concerns. And if it will not balkanize, this cancer will spread all over the region, not only all over the region, but world will suffer the consequences.
But what do the Sindhis feel? Is there a concept, and is there any traction for a concept of a Sindhu Desh? Or are you one of the few who are articulating this, but this doesn't have too much traction on ground? What do the Sindhis feel?
The movement of Sindh and Sindhu Desh is going since 1970s, after the when the Bangladesh was freed by India from Pakistan. But if we look in the past, Sindh has been always cradle of Indus Valley civilization, Sanatan Dharma, our Vedas. It was the Vedic land. So our Sindhi fiber is still connected. Not only me, but Sindh has always restricted these theological and suppression of new ideology, new identity. We have always tried to stop it. In that way, our 60, till now, our 60 main leaders are killed. And there is report around 8,000 people are missing. If there is no struggle, if Sindhi don't want freedom, if Sindhi don't want to get a right to self determination, why these people are murdered, why these people are abducted? Of course there is something going on, of course there is movement. That's why this all is happening. And the main thing is Sindh has masses. Second largest population of Pakistan is consisting of the Sindhi people. How the Bilawal is today trying to appease Journal so he can get prime ministership. This what happened before also. Hakam Zardari, Asif Zardari did the same. Now can someone ask Asif Ali Zardari that his father had 400 acres of land and now he has 400 lakh acres land in the Sindh? From where these lands he got? Because they are the land mafia, they are the land grabbers, and for these all things they are getting 10% from the Punjabi journals. If you are talking about Bhuttos, what happened to Bhutto? Do you remember he was called the boy of General Ayub? He was the boy of General Ayub. Same today, this Bilawal Zardari is called the boy of this failed Marshal Asam Munir. What he is doing, he don't know. He's educating here. He is supporting. He is supporting the people who killed his mother. He don't know who was involved in his mother assassination.
See, the Sindh region, you bring some interesting perspective here, but the Sindh region also has a huge amount of Hindus. A large number of them are all Dalits. They are also, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, as we would describe in India, very poor. There are every other day there are cases of abduction. There are cases of forced conversion. But other than small protests, there is no big movement. So I keep wondering whether it matter to the Sindhis at all. Do these people in the region care? Most of them are fleeing Sindh region from there, and they're fleeing and they're coming to India seeking refuge, seeking asylum. Large number of them. So what are your thoughts there?
Okay. Uh, as we know that at the time of partition, the population of Hindus For me, Hindus is not Dalit or any subcaste or anything. For me, we are all Sanatani. Okay, and we follow Sanatan Dharma. Our concept must be clear on that thing. We don't have any scheduled caste or any. For me, if there is a poor or the rich, he is my Sanatani brother and sister. The other thing you said that there is decrease in the population. Of course, at the time of partition, we have 29% of population of Sindhis, Hindus in the Sindh, but now it is 1.25. So, of course, there is a shift of huge population, and it was a pre-designed. It was pre-designed by Liaquat Ali Khan to evacuate these people and bring the people from India, which were called the Mahajars, and these lands were given to them. And nowadays, the remaining Hindus, which they have the land, they have the businesses, forcefully, they are forcefully, fearfully, they are um, under suppression to so they can leave the Sindh, and these lands can be given to the madrasas. These lands can be given to the new settlers of military proxies, which are Jaish Mohammed and Taliban factors, good Talibans, and so these things are happening. Now, if you are asking that why there is not movement on these issues and there is only the small protest or sometime, because we are systemically, Sindhi people are systematically attacked. Not only our demographics are keep changing, but we have military force on our heads. Before, there was one unit office of, for example, MI in one district of Sindh, and now in each city there is office of military intelligence. There is, even in a small village, there is officer of military intelligence. The feudal class, it is always opportunist, and in the Sindh they have made this system by engineered system by the military. They are controlling our jobs, they are controlling our natural resources, they are controlling. So, and there is no electricity, of course. Only we are getting, when Sindh is providing the electricity to Punjab and whole Pakistan, 65% electricity is going from Sindh, and in Sindh we are getting just 2 hours, 2 hour a day. In 24 hours we are getting 2 hour electricity. So when you don't have electricity, when you have no basic requirements of life, how you can think on these things for the revolution, for the for the uh, attacking the your opponents. And the third thing, man, which we Sindhi have faced, that our national wealth, our national assets, which were Sindhi Hindus that time, they came under under occupation of Pakistani military and the community Mahajar. So we we are also stuck up on that point also. And the fourth and important thing is, Sindh is not mountainous terrain. Sindh is very flat, and its populous urban and villages. It's very flat. So our movement is not about to go and sit in the mountains and do the guerrilla war. We don't have forest anymore because General Zial Haq time and Nawaz Sharif time, they burned out our all forest. So our always mobilization and struggle and our process of going towards our freedom is on streets.
Namaste. It's indeed a moment of pride, pleasure, and a lot of happiness because a person who I respect a lot, and all of us in Bharat need to give credit for his hard work, is sitting right next to us. He's live with us at our studio at CNN News 18. A. Sivadanu Pillai is with us. Namaskaram, sir.
Namaskaram, Anand.
He is the founder, CEO of and MD of BrahMos Aerospace. Many know him as the father of BrahMos. He is with us, scientist whose book I'm going to read for sure. This is 40 years with APJ Abdul Kalam. So two people I really admire. One in my hand on the page, or the cover page of this book, and one sitting right next to me, Pillai sir. But 40 years, so from an SLV technology to then making BrahMos, the BrahMos that brought the Pakistanis and the enemy to its knees, and it all happened by the time we finished breakfast, like the Raksha Mantri said. So let's start with that moment. We are at a time of conflict. We are seeing a lot of conflict around us, and we were pressed into a conflict because of Pahalgam. What were your thoughts when that happened and then BrahMos did what it is supposed to do?
So when we developed BrahMos, I knew one day the BrahMos will be used and it will do its job. So when a general of Pakistan during an exhibition at Abu Dhabi asked me, why do you want to sell such a good missile? So we said that good product has to be sold. Then he said, will you sell it to Pakistan? So then I told him, for Pakistan it will be even free of cost. So
landed there.
That has happened there in the Operation Sindoor. Is a very remarkable day to us when the number of missiles, more than 15, finished all the terrorist points and also disabled Pakistan to come up. So they surrendered. So this is a great moment for the achievement, for the development of BrahMos. So we are very happy. All the team people, I know how much hard work they put it to realize that. And this is a partnership between India and Russia. So I think this is a celebration for all of us.
This is a partnership between India and Russia. So that is why Moskova and Brahmaputra. So that's the two rivers that have come together to form the word BrahMos.
Yes.
But how much of it is India, indigenous?
So initially when we started the whole program, it came like that. So Dr. Abdul Kalam, when he was saying that we have launched Agni as the 6th nation, we launched SLV-3 as the 7th nation. And when we did the nuclear test, again we were 6th nation. What is this 5th, 6th, 7th and all? When we will become the first country? So he posed this question number of times to me. So then he said, you have a break, go to Harvard. So I went to Harvard in 91. That was the time when that Gulf War was taking place. So my attention turned towards the Gulf War. And finally I found out the Tomahawk played a very crucial role there. So to destroy the assets of the enemy, to disable them, you need a cruise missile. So then I spoke to Dr. Kalam from there, saying that we need a cruise missile.
Cruise missile.
Yes. So then he said, when after you complete your course, let us discuss. So we did that. Then he suggested this, you are working with the Russians, why don't you ask them? They may have the basic technology and help you. So I went to Russia, talked to them. So the Director General, Dr. Effermo, said yes, we are the only people in the whole world to have a supersonic engine. If you use that engine, your cruise missile will become a supersonic cruise missile. So I was just attracted by that. Then he showed the engine, discussed the details, and we found that number of tests have been done and it is fully ready. And when we wanted to take the technology for engine to India and then to it, like what we have done in space, we have taken the technology of Vikas engine and then we improved it and we did all these things. So that was my thinking. Then we found that we need to, have a system, the booster inside, then it is linked with all the things. Finally, the configuration is coming out of that. So then there is no point in taking one piece. So then we said that we will work together. So we formed a joint team with Mr. Venugopalan, a propulsion expert from DRDL. He was the team leader for the design. So we formed the team to work out the design. So design means it is not only for the missile, it has to be operated from ship, from land. So we looked at all the platforms and then we made the design, we made that. That took a long time. So during that time we were processing how to make the joint venture. The idea came that you asked about how the name BrahMos came.
Yeah.
So because this was anti-ship missile initially, and that was the initial agreement. So based on that, we thought there should be water name. Water means immediately comes to us only Brahmaputra, and also it is a Brahma's name is there. So new creation we are talking. So everybody said that in the group, Brahmaputra should be the initial name. Then our friends from Moscow said we should have Moscow River because we are near to that. So you put together. Then we did various combinations. Finally, we came out with BrahMos.
BrahMos.
Yes. So the joint venture was called BrahMos. Then later, after a few years, I thought we have to name the missile. So missile has come out now. So what is the name we can give? So we discussed with the Navy because they are going to be the user of the missile. So they suggested different names like that. Then it came to me, this name itself is good. Why not we call the missile as BrahMos? But you cannot call company BrahMos and the missile BrahMos. So I changed the name to BrahMos Aerospace, the company. Then registrar we went again, changed the name to BrahMos Aerospace and named the missile as BrahMos.
Named the missile as BrahMos. No, fantastic. Now, what is unique about BrahMos? For our viewers, why is it that the Pakistani defense system, which was helped by the Chinese satellites and their own radars, etc., why were they not able to figure out what to do with the BrahMos? What makes it difficult?
There are two things we have to understand. One is that this is supersonic speed. When the speed is more, quickly it goes. So the tracking is very difficult.
It's 2.8 Mach around that?
Yes, 2.8. When we operate it as 2.8, particular altitude we are firing, it is 2.8. When you change the altitude, it will increase.
The speed will increase.
Speed will increase.
So 2.8 Mach means 2.8 times the speed of sound. Yeah.
Yes.
So 1 Mach is the speed of sound.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the idea is to make it invisible. So to make it invisible, you need the stealth technology. Yeah. You need the configuration design should be properly done. Then you should have the electronic countermeasures you should have. All we have introduced into BrahMos. So it is one is speed, another one is the configuration. Protrusion should be less so that radar cross section is less. Second one. Third one is flying at low altitude. And then you have made it mostly composite material. And then that is stealth, it gives the stealth. And then you have got the countermeasures. So that's why they are not able to locate it. But technology is moving. The years to come, they will find out how to do it.
Right.
So they will be working day and night now, how to trace the BrahMos missile if it is launched again.
Correct.
So we should also work day and night to see that they are.
That was my next question. Are we working?
Yes.
Are we working to make sure that the BrahMos becomes more lethal? And are we working towards a hypersonic missile?
So one is to increase the speed. That's why we want to do hypersonic. Hypersonic means that whole technology is different. Here we are using ramjet technology. That is, the air is rammed inside and the fuel is, atomized particles are thrown into the combustion chamber. But when you think of hypersonic, you have to go for supersonic combustion inside. That means the air has to come in supersonic speed into the combustion chamber when the liquid is, that fuel is, when the particle is put in the combustion chamber. So that technology, when you do that scramjet firing, when you do it, the type of temperature is very high.
Okay.
So it is not like ramjet. Ramjet is technology which is easier, but it is 4 times better than a solid or liquid propulsion. What we normally use in rocket, a solid rocket,
or a liquid propulsion.
We are doing that. Then we have got liquid and cryogenic.
Cryogenic.
So solid and liquid has got 300 units of specific impulse, which is the efficiency of the fuel.
Right.
Cryogenic is 450, that is 1.5 times better than that. But what we use is 4 times better than the solid liquid propulsion.
Okay.
So that is the ramjet. But we want to make it to scramjet. When you
Scramjet.
go for scramjet, and the speed of the missile will increase to 7 to 8 times. With the aviation kerosene what we are using, you cannot go beyond 8. So that's a limit. But normally, if you really want a hypersonic engine you want to do, and you want to have a system, you can go to 20, 25, you can go.
Correct.
But then you have to use hydrogen and so many other things are there. But for a missile, which is a storable and ready to go anytime, you have to have the limit as 8.
Right. So how far are we from developing something like that? And are we doing it on our own, or are we depending on another country again?
So initially we thought that when we have got BrahMos cooperation, we wanted to do BrahMos 2 as a hypersonic missile. So we launched a big program on that. That is to develop the basic technologies of the hypersonic. We attempted, and we invested in our academic institutions, particularly Indian Institute of Science, and then with MAI, that is Moscow Aviation Institute, to find out the critical materials which are required to that. And the DRDO also, they have launched a big program for hypersonic materials. So with this, we thought that we will be able to quickly solve the problem of the high temperature. But slowly we are building up. Initially we did some temperature up to 200 seconds, and now we have reached 1000 seconds. It is a big, remarkable achievement what DRDO has got is 1000 seconds. But that is not sufficient for an operation. When you talk about an operation, the range is something like, say, 2000 kilometer range you have to get. Then you need better timing you need.
Correct.
So for that, the material development is very important. So that will take some time.
So material development means you're saying metallurgy, because the composite material that will hold the engine so that it won't melt. So do we need to improve our metallurgy? Because many believe we are lacking there. That's the space in terms of metallurgy.
It is not only we, the whole world is lacking.
Whole world is lacking.
Because nobody has achieved a cruise missile with the hypersonic regime for a long duration. No one has achieved. Everybody is trying to do only 200 seconds like that.
Right.
That's not sufficient. For a real use, you need a long range cruise. But now people say, we have got hypersonic missile. Everybody claims. What the hypersonic? We have done it in Agni hypersonic. Agni was Mark 14 when it was coming down. So that is all hypersonic is different type of regime. We are talking about flying in atmosphere, breathing air.
At hypersonic level.
Breathing air. As a cruise, we want a long duration. That no one has said.
But Pillai sir, now this Iran-Israel conflict, it's not the tomahawks that are being talked about. What's being spoken about is the bunker buster. A report suggests each bunker buster is about $2.1 billion as the cost. But does Bharat have the capacity to make its own bunker buster? Do you think we'll have to use something like this?
In the last night, tomahawks were used.
Tomahawks, 30 tomahawks were used?
Tomahawks were used.
And 12 MOPs.
The biggest advantage of cruise missile is not aimed at the people. It's aimed at removing the assets. Because of the precision, it is able to destroy the basic, wherewithal what that person has got. That is the aim of the whole thing. So that they have done. Yes, yesterday's firing, they have done that. And when you launch it to a nuclear area, it precisely hits that point.
Correct.
So that is the type of thing which has been done. But the bunker buster, what you say, it is going to remove some 3 meter concrete you have got, it has to do. So these technologies also available with 1 or 2 countries, it is available. But we have not perfected that. But if you have seen that BrahMos, which blasted off that places, they are the big concrete columns were broken. So it is possible. What we can do is with the explosive, but in the bunker buster it's a needle. It goes nicely, it goes inside, and then the warhead blasts. That's what is. We are yet to do that. The whole technology.
But you believe we can?
Yes, surely.
You can.
See, India today is capable of developing any type of technology. our own. You asked whether you are going to do our own, the hypersonic. Yes, we are going to do our own. So that is the initially we thought that we will work with the Russians and do that. That's why in the BrahMos program we funded the R&D effort. But now the decision of DRDO is to do ourselves, and they are moving in that direction very well.
So hypersonic, our own bunker busters, can Agni be turned into our own perhaps bunker buster or BrahMos cruise missile technology?
No. Bunker buster technology is totally different.
Totally different. But we can develop it.
Yes.
But sir, this costs money. Is the current government giving you money to be able to develop all this?
Current government wants self-reliance. When you say Atmanirbhar Bharat, that means you have to be of your own. Seeing the situation today in the world, unless India thinks that they have to stand alone with all the technologies and all the capability, it will be very difficult to live in the world as a strong country. Strength respects strength. We have to be strong. Then only we will be respected in the world.
But does PM Modi and the current leadership, do they realize
Yes, very much. They are doing very much. Of late, the understanding has come that we have to have indigenous systems. All industries are now supported. See, now the idea of moving out to private sector for many technologies to be developed and telling them that they have to do R&D is a major step which has been taken. So it is helping us now. Today I see a different India.
But Pillai sir, let me ask you this. When Bharat turns around and tells the world, we have used BrahMos to destroy terror infrastructure, there are many who are saying, why are you doing this, etc., etc., why are you trying to bomb Pakistan, etc. The same a US decides to bomb Iran, the world turns around and says the world is a more safer and stabler place because US has bombed Iran. Why two different dynamics?
See, this is a very big question. Today, if you see, there are 5 permanent members of the Security Council with a veto power. So they can do all mischiefs, and then they say if somebody objects, they will say veto that one. So first and foremost thing is they should recognize there are other countries which have grown. You take India. Today India militarily we are strong. We have proved that. We are economically we have got the highest growth rate, GDP growth rate. And our economy is moving up. We are 4th in the world today in economy. Very soon we will become 3rd. And we are very close to the big powers. Then why you are leaving us not the permanent member? If you are giving status as permanent member, we have the long range missiles, we have got nuclear weapon, we have got the highest level of democratic management in the country. So what is
we are a strong economy and we are also going into space. We got everything.
Yes, we have got everything.
So give us the permanent seat.
Permanent seat. We should get permanent seat. All the 5 members should immediately say, yes, we want India to be a member. They should say that.
And do away their veto.
Yes. And then second point is, the veto power should be taken out.
Veto power should be taken
because of veto power, any type of mischief can be done by these 5 people. So that is a very important question which you have asked. I suggest that the world should rise to tell that the 5 permanent members' veto power should be removed.
Well, Pillai sir, amazing speaking with you and thank you for your time. We have plenty of other questions, but one more session with him after we've read this book, 40 Years with Dr. Abdul Kalam, and also Untold Stories from there. The story of Bharat, we have to be strong because only strength respects strength, says Dr. A.S. Pillai, the father of BrahMos Aerospace. Thank you so much. On the occasion of International Yoga Day, the Colombian government thanked Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar for bringing lasting peace in that region. A 5-decade war between the Colombian government and FARC rebels came to an end with the mediation of someone who has always tried to talk peace and not war, saying conflict resolution is key. Peace is important. We give peace a chance, dialogue a chance. The most robust and strongest of disputes can be resolved. Joining us now is Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. Gurudev, namaste. Always a pleasure speaking with you. You're joining us from Colombia, where for a decade now, there has been peace. How did that come about?
Well, you have said it is through dialogue, to building trust, building bridges, and this we could achieve. And then see, people who are fighting, were only fighting for social justice. So I told them, look, I'm also for social justice, but why don't you adopt the principle of non-violence? First, they were very, very hesitant, and later on, they heard me, and then they came for peace talk. Then they formed the party. Colombia is like India. There is a dozen parties here, 1 dozen parties. It's not like US where there's only 2 parties, 3 parties. Here, they have 1 dozen parties. So I told them, why don't you form a party of yourself? Trust for your needs, go democratically. And I should really thank them. They did it. They did that, and now the peace is there. Yeah.
There is
If
one.
you
Ji.
anybody has visited Colombia before 2015, and they visit now, they find sea of difference. Yeah.
But Gurudev, that is with those who are intent to pursue peace, and when peace is given a chance, where both parties want to resolve a conflict. In Colombia, that's what happened, and that's why it's lasted for a decade.
No, it needed a lot of effort to make people understand that. There was nowhere close to peace. In fact, they were close to really bombarding and having a full-scale war here. But we can say God's grace, and the people could hear us because I was from India and not involved in this conflict. And then I spoke to them and made them understand, see the point. You see, all this conflict start with perceived threat. There can be really no threat, but people think that the other is going to attack them. So they preempt that thing by attacking them. So this sort of mindset is prevalent around the world. You see, in all the conflict zone, if you go deep into it, there is a perception of threat which may not be correct. Yeah.
Well,
And that needs someone who is very neutral, who can, and then look, these people, they went through meditation. I should also mention here that they were very reluctant and in the beginning, but when they meditated, their minds opened up. They found there is another way to resolve conflict.
so mediate and meditate.
Mediation and meditation, they go together. Yeah.
But there is a current conflict that's brewing. Again, it's about existence. One believes the other one wants to wipe it out. The Israelis believe that the Iranians have a doctrine of wiping out Jews and Israel. The Israelis believe that the Iranians believe that the Israelis via America want to wipe the Shias and the Iranian nation out. Now, how does this conflict get resolved?
Again, as I said, we need people who can mediate, who can talk to them, sit with them. It needs quite a bit of that middleman's role to be played there. And people who are friendly with both the nations will have to sit with them, iron out the differences, and come to some conclusion, some understanding. I mean, it is a uphill task, but I won't say that it is impossible to achieve it. This was the case, if you look back, a century back, France and Germany were arch enemies. They were fighting, and England and France, they were fighting for centuries actually. But then today they've all come together. So time and perseverance and wise people's intervention is absolutely necessary here.
In this case, is trust a factor, ego a factor? Like let's say Bharat or someone like you or someone like Prime Minister Modi have got engagements with Israel and also Iran. So should Bharat put its hand up and say, we will try and say, because we've got nothing in the stake, we want peace? Or is this game far greater than that, Gurudev, when it comes to conflict resolution and this region, especially West Asia?
I I think we should all give a try for this. Yeah. Sometimes political people are not so trusted by other political parties. So they always see there is some vested interest. That's what had happened in the Colombian peace process. The EU tried, US tried, and nothing succeeded. That's what the press asked me first. How come you could succeed where big powers could not convince the FARC to leave the arms and come to the mainstream? I said it's all matter of building trust. It's more than words. It goes beyond the words. You interact with somebody. It's not just what they say, but what they make you feel makes a big difference.
Will you be willing to jump into this and to try and see if this can be resolved?
Well, God willing, if that's what happens, we'll see. I'm always there for peace. And I'm always available for any sort of, conflict resolution. I would say the same thing with Russia and Ukraine. See what's happened there. Russia has a perception that Ukraine is out to get them, and so they attacked Ukraine. So I think because it's all humans, we're all human, and the human mind works in various different emotions and various different factors. There is ego factor, and there is ambition, and there is selfishness, and sometimes people start something, they don't know how to end it, they get stuck with it. People say things which they may not even believe, but then once they have said, they will have to prove that what they've said is, and they will hold on to it, is correct. So it's a very complex situation.
But Gurudev, see, the scriptures say we are all instruments of the divine. But sometimes nations are instruments of some other nations. So in that case, how do you resolve conflict? If a conversation was between two entities, it's okay, and their relevant parties. But if there are external entities which are controlling the pawns on the game, the geopolitical chessboard, how does that get resolved?
Anand, basically everyone is a human being. Even it's not nation, is not a non-human object. That's also humans only. And the human interaction, the human thinking, human behavior, from what state of consciousness they are acting, that makes a big difference, That's why I said it's a threat perception and one-upmanship tendency to keep one-upmanship role. And all these unfortunate trends of minds and ego, this cannot go away without a proper spiritual or upliftment of society. The people are thinking like Mahatma Gandhi, or Vallabhbhai Patel, or like Buddha, and that sort of broader vision, like Nelson Mandela, I would say, Mahatma Gandhi. I mean, they had a different vision for humanity.
Co-presented by This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
We're getting a breaking input at this point. Missiles fired from Iran towards Israel, according to the Israeli military. This is what is happening as far as the latest is concerned. Now, Israel Air Force says a short time ago, alerts were activated in several areas of the country following the discovery of missiles launched from Iran into the territory of the state of Israel. Now, the public is asked to obey the Home Front Command's instruction At this time, the Air Force is working to intercept and attack wherever necessary to eliminate the threat. Further, it says that the defense is not hermetic and therefore the Home Front Command's instruction must continue to be followed. I'm now joined by CNN News 18's Akansha Swarup on this broadcast. Akansha, just about 24 hours earlier, we have seen that Iran has attacked Israel. The missiles were launched towards Israel, and once again today as well, we are seeing that the same is being done. So the escalation is only increasing from here.
Yes, and important to highlight that the civilians in areas where sirens are sounding have been instructed to remain in shelters, and they are sounding across central Israel. So central Israel has been heavily targeted, Shireen, by this barrage of missiles. And as you rightly said, that soon after the US airstrikes, there was an increase, a very sharp increase in the missile barrage that has been sent from Iran. So it is a very tense moment for Israel. They have, in fact, destruction against Iran, and we'll have to see how far this is now going to go. But these retaliatory missiles that have been coming from Iran, they are continuing to come, and Jerusalem is also bearing front of this, since have been building, as been launching a new wave of missiles into Israel. There's been casualties on both ends, to say the least. Israel is running high on the wave after the airstrike. We've already heard Prime Minister Netanyahu thank the US President. Remember, even Ben Gurion Airport was hit earlier by Iran. And Israel, of course, fired back. How long can they sustain this conflict is also a very critical question, because Israel's own defense capabilities are taking a hit. The Iron has also, it's also been impacted severely. And both the countries are in fact hitting missiles. There's been drone strikes since the conflict also began. And we are seeing a very deeply divisive Middle East. We'll have to see how this now shapes up the geopolitics, because as we speak, we all know that Iran has also started bringing in their allies, particularly Russia, and how that meeting now shapes up between the Iranian foreign minister and the Russian president is something we'll have to see. But they are firing in batches. Earlier, they had fired one batch of 27 missiles. Haifa and Tel Aviv have already been targeted, and several people have been reportedly injured over there. So it's almost become a new normal 13th of June for sirens now to sound across all of Israel, with Iran now firing their missile barrage. And the IDF has been on their toes. They are regular.
Now, Kansha, like you mentioned about how there is going to be a crucial meeting between the Iranian foreign minister and Vladimir Putin. We are getting an update on that. I request you to please stay with us. The Iranian foreign minister Abbas Araghchi lands in
Thank you for staying with us here at CNN News 18, and let's go straight across to the Israel ambassador to Bharat, Ambassador Reuven Azar. This is at a time when Operation Midnight Hammer, a joint operation between Israel and the US of A, has claimed to have literally obliterated Iran's nuclear mission. Ambassador Azar, namaste. Thank you for your time. This is a there is a big claim. This is a big claim. Do you believe that you have been able to push Iran back on its nuclear mission?
I have no doubt that we have managed to set back both Iran's nuclear program, military nuclear program, and Iran's missile ballistic program. The Israeli Defense Forces and the other security agencies have been acting relentlessly in the last 10 days. We have targeted dozens of locations in which the Iranians have been conducting nuclear activity. We also, as you know, targeted the main installations in Natanz, Isfahan, and the Americans have also targeted those installations, and in addition, have targeted Fordo. We don't have still the BDA on Fordo, but I believe that the entirety of these strikes has actually neutralized the capability of the Iranians to build a nuclear weapon at this point.
Ambassador, many claim, where is the proof? It's Israel's claim and the world's claim, or America's claim versus Iran's claim, because the IAEA has never confirmed that Israel has weaponized its nuclear Iran has weaponized its nuclear program. Politicians like Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi have also said they claimed WMDs with Iraq, there were none. They're claiming WMDs with Iran, finding a reason to attack it. Where is the proof? How would you want to respond to such questions being raised?
Well, there's a huge difference between this situation and the situation in Iraq. And I'll tell you why. It's because the IAEA itself has determined in a report that Iran is in non-compliance of the Safeguards Agreement. That means that Iran has been conducting illicitly, undisclosed, clandestine activities, nuclear activities, that it has withheld from the knowledge of the IAEA. That's number one. Number two, the IAEA, as you know, is not an intelligence agency. It's a nuclear agency. We know, because we have the best intelligence on Iran, and we've been investing this intelligence on Iran because Iran has sworn to destroy us. For us, it was very important to monitor the situation in Iran because we were determined to prevent Iran from executing their plan of extermination of our state. And therefore, we took action both against the military nuclear program and against the missile ballistic program. We have a right to defend ourselves, and that's what we did.
Iran claims that the damage is superficial. They have just a short while ago also put out a statement that they remain resilient in their nuclear pursuit. Now, does that mean that a wounded Iran is going to come back stronger, and maybe for a few years down the line, they will continue to pursue these nuclear aims?
Well, first of all, it's not a surprise that Iran is trying to downplay what has happened. I can tell you for a fact that we have managed to take out a clandestine group of criminal scientists that were actually taking advantage of the time the United States gave to Iran to negotiate in order to allow Iran to sneak out into a nuclear weapon. And this is something that is completely unacceptable, and we had to act upon. So the fact that this team is no longer there to assemble a weapon is actually setting back Iran. Now, look, people have to understand, because this is public information, any country that decides to develop a nuclear program, because of the fact that this technology already exists since last century, it can assemble a nuclear program in a few years. The problem is when countries decide to cheat, to deceive, when they swear to destroy other states and then try to develop the weapons to fulfill that promise. So there's no such example in the world. Iran has sworn to destroy our state, and we were not going to allow them to acquire the capabilities to do so. Israel will not go silently into the night. We have promised that we will not be again subject to extermination like we were only 80 years ago. And therefore, we are determined to defend ourselves from radical regimes that attempt to annihilate us. We are determined, and we will continue to be determined. So if Iran tries to assume again in activities that counter its obligations and counter the commitment the world wants from them to refrain from developing nuclear military capability, to refrain from developing missile ballistic capability, to refrain from arming its proxies to create havoc in the region and attack Israel, then Israel will have no choice but continue defending itself. The only difference now, Anand, is that we have the capability to do so. We have exposed Iran, we control the skies of Iran, and if Iran tries to renew illicit activities, we will feel free to take action.
But Ambassador, the Iranians claim and there are reports which suggest that they may have been able to cart away some of this enriched uranium and some of their nuclear facilities and their programs, they may have been able to move it to another secure location. That means that have you really pushed back Iran's nuclear program by about a few decades? Or is it just a matter of a handful of years that Iran comes back perhaps more determined and more raging, if I may say, against Israel?
Well, first of all, I think that the Iranian public will have to decide whether they want to continue supporting a regime that sequestrates their future in the name of creating a plan of weapons of mass destruction that actually, instead of destructing Israel, is destructing Iran, is destroying Iran. The Iranians could try to resume their nuclear program, but as we already shown, as Israel already has shown, we are capable of neutralizing that. As I told you, we have set back their weaponization plan. We have set back the scientists that were dealing with that, those criminals. We have hit the nuclear facilities, and it will cost them many years and a lot of investment to try to reconstitute that.
Bushehr is another facility which has been attacked, and IDF has also confirmed the reports of explosions. But the Russians have said that they have Russian scientists there. Could the dynamic?
No, I think that you are misinformed. We have attacked an airport near Bushehr. We haven't attacked the installations, the civilian nuclear installations in Bushehr that are being managed by the Russians.
Okay, so the other part is the Iranian counterstrikes. Israel has also received some amount of pounding. Civilian areas have more than 86 are feared injured, 11 dead in the fresh wave of attacks. So Israel is also suffering.
Indeed, we have the entire population of Israel near shelters. Thankfully, thanks to the efforts of our Air Force and our other security agencies, we've been able to degrade Iran's missile capability. And from a number of about 200 missiles per day, we're going down to about only a few dozen that the Iranians are capable of firing at us. Fortunately, we've been able to neutralize a lot of their stockpile and more than half of their launchers. But that doesn't mean that we are immune, despite the fact that we have the best air defense system in the world. Still, some of these missiles are penetrating. They have resulted in 24 casualties, especially in the first few days of the operation, and they have created a lot of damage. We hope that we continue to be degraded if the Iranians continue their aggression. The President of the United States has put forward a proposal to go back to negotiations. I think it would be prudent from the side of Iran to finally change their positions and create a situation in which stability can be restored. If they refuse, they will have to face the consequences.
There are a lot of US troops that are stationed in and around within the West Asian nations. Iran has turned around and said that it's not a display of strength, but perhaps a display of vulnerability. If Iran or its proxies attack any of the US installations in the region, is there a problem, is there a worry that this war could attain a different dynamic altogether?
Well, of course, there is a concern, because if Iran decides to expand the conflict, more people will be hit and more people may die. However, as I told you before, Anand, we have degraded significantly Iran's capability to attack. That means that if they start to attack more targets, the efficiency of that will go down. If you take into account that not only Israel has capabilities, but also the United States and other countries, expanding that war, I think, would be a huge mistake from the side of the Iranians, and they will suffer the consequences even more than they have suffered so far.
Ambassador, limited time, so final question with you on this conversation. The Ayatollah are also seen not just as the political, but also the spiritual heads. The Shia the world over largely have remained so far patient about what's happening. But any targeting of the Ayatollah Khamenei or the spiritual leader Will that perhaps result in a backlash or perhaps radicalization among Shia Muslims around the world? This is a concern. Have you thought about that, considered that?
Well, I'm sure that the leadership have been thinking about that because, as you probably know, no decision regarding the extermination of Israel or developing of these malign programs of military nuclear weapons or ballistic missiles could have been conducted without the approval and consent of the Supreme Leader of Iran. So there's no doubt that Ayatollah Khamenei is responsible for this aggression and should pay a price. However, if and when to do such a thing is completely up to the decision makers, and they will have to measure that according to a risk assessment that I'm sure they are conducting.
Ambassador Reza, thank you for your time. Pleasure speaking with you as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
A narrow strip of water between Iran and Oman, just 21 miles wide, is now at the center of a potential global crisis. This is the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran has just moved to close it. The fallout could upend oil markets, global trade, and spark a wider military conflict. This escalation began after the US bombed 3 major Iranian nuclear sites: Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. Iran's parliament responded swiftly, approving a proposal to block the Strait of Hormuz. While the final call lies with Iran's Supreme National Security Council, the message is loud and clear. Tehran is ready to play the oil card.
Especially closing of the Strait of Hormuz by Iran is something that it would be extremely dangerous and not good for anybody.
At its narrowest, the Strait of Hormuz is just 33 kilometers wide, but it carries nearly a fifth of all global oil and LNG shipments. Over 17 million barrels of crude pass through this route daily. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Qatar, even Iran rely on it. There is no sea route alternative that can match its scale. Any disruption here sends shockwaves across energy markets. Oil prices will surge, potentially crossing $120 to $150 per barrel. Shipping costs spike, global supply chains stall. Energy importing countries from Asia to Europe will scramble for alternatives. Insurance premiums rise, recession fears mount. Even the stock markets could spiral, driven by oil panic and inflation. India imports over 60% of its crude from the Gulf. A disruption at Hormuz will spike domestic fuel prices, delay LNG shipments from Qatar, inflate freight and insurance costs, hurt trade in fertilizers, chemicals, heavy industry. India's strategic reserves may soften the blow, but only briefly. Top Asian importers like China, Japan and South Korea will also bleed. Qatar's LNG, Saudi oil, Iraqi crude all flow through Hormuz. Europe, already reeling from the Ukraine war, faces a compounded crisis if LNG flows are halted. The world is looking at Asia bearing the brunt while the West pushes for containment. The paradox here is that Iran needs Hormuz too. Much of its own oil, especially the illegal or discounted crude to China, moves through this route. A blockade would choke Iran's economy, deepen sanctions pain, and alienate even its few allies. Iran may bluff, but a full closure would be economic self-harm. The US Fifth Fleet is stationed in Bahrain. France and the UK maintain naval presence in the Gulf. If Iran moves to block Hormuz militarily, expect escort missions, minesweeping operations, even open confrontation. There's precedent here. The 1980s tanker war. But this time, the stakes are global. This crisis affects everyone. It could suck China into talks, push the US into further escalation, disrupt the Global South's energy access, and spark coordinated Western retaliation. Iran's threat is about leverage, deterrence, and desperation, all rolled into one.
It's out in the open now. The US is ready to strike Iran. But the question is, when will it happen? Israel is welcoming US's entry into the war. Although Israel may be a powerful country, it doesn't possess the kind of devastating firepower the US brings to the battlefield. With Trump entering the war zone, every part of Tehran is a target. After a high-stakes closed-door Situation Room meeting, President Trump emerged with a battle plan for Iran. In the early hours of June 22nd, US B-2 stealth bombers took off on a grueling 37-hour non-stop mission. Their target, Iran's nuclear heart. Once in range, the jets unleashed powerful, never-before-used bunker-buster bombs on 3 critical nuclear sites, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. As the bombs tore deep into the fortified facilities, the US president declared the mission a success.
Thank you very much. Tonight I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
For years, President Trump voiced strong opposition to Iran's nuclear program, especially the secretive Fordo site. Though he set a 2-week deadline to announce a plan of action, he didn't wait that long. In a surprise strike, 6 bunker-buster bombs and 30 Tomahawk missiles hit Iran's fortified nuclear site. This marked the first ever use of America's massive ordnance penetrator, also known as bunker-buster bombs. Iran was caught off guard, yet its fortified nuclear sites held firm. They were damaged, but not destroyed. Israel, on the other hand, praised Trump for what it called a bold and necessary move.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do.
The Fordo nuclear enrichment plant is one of Iran's most secretive facilities. It was built to protect Iran against any kind of military action and can withstand even advanced strikes. Fordo is buried deep beneath a mountain near Qom. Lying 80 to 300 feet underground, the location of this plant makes it hard for conventional bombs to reach. Only the US's bunker-buster bombs have the capacity to penetrate deep into this secret facility and damage it. The Natanz nuclear facility is one of the country's most vital nuclear sites. It's home to Iran's underground uranium enrichment facility. The site plays a central role in Iran's nuclear ambitions, where advanced centrifuges are used to enrich uranium, a critical step in building a nuclear weapon. Despite past attacks, the heavily guarded nuclear site still stands strong. The Isfahan nuclear facility provides Iran with crucial research needed to build a nuclear weapon. The facility houses uranium conversion plants, laboratories, and research reactors crucial to Iran's nuclear program. Thousands of Iranian scientists work there, playing a key role in advancing the country's nuclear capabilities. Israeli forces have previously targeted the facility with attacks. Although 3 nuclear sites were hit in Iran, there are no signs of radiation leak yet. The GBU-57, also known as the Massive Ordnance Penetrator, is a precision-guided bomb designed to penetrate deep underground bunkers like Iran's Fordo nuclear facility. These bunker-buster bombs can drill 200 feet into the earth before detonating with a delayed action smart fuse. The bomb is carried exclusively by the US B-2 bombers due to its weight, and the US only has 19 B-2s currently in service. This makes the weapon a powerful yet limited tool in America's arsenal. The Tomahawk missile is a long-range subsonic cruise missile launched from US Navy ships and submarines, providing deep strike capabilities. It can fly at low altitudes to evade radar detection and has been used in numerous conflicts, including the Gulf War and Iraq invasion. Each missile costs about $2 million, travels at 550 miles per hour, and has a range of up to 2,500 kilometers. Its 1,000-pound warhead is guided by GPS, inertial navigation, and terrain contour matching for pinpoint accuracy. Trump warned Iran that any retaliation would be met with even more intense US strikes. An enraged Iran accused Trump of starting a dangerous war. Now calls are growing within Iran to strike US Navy ships and shut down the Strait of Hormuz. But will Iran retaliate, and how far will it go?
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
The pleasure and a lot of happiness, because a person who I respect a lot, and all of us in Bharat need to give credit for his hard work, is sitting right next to us. He's live with us at our studio at CNN News 18. A. Sivadanu Pillai is with us. Namaskaram, sir.
Namaskaram, Anand.
He is the founder, CEO of and MD of BrahMos Aerospace. Many know him as the father of BrahMos. He is with us, scientist whose book I'm going to read for sure. This is 40 years with APJ Abdul Kalam. So two people I really admire. One in my hand on the page, or the cover page of this book, and one sitting right next to me, Pillai sir. But 40 years, so from an SLV technology to then making BrahMos, the BrahMos that brought the Pakistanis and the enemy to its knees, and it all happened by the time we finished breakfast, like the Raksha Mantri said. So let's start with that moment. We are at a time of conflict. We are seeing a lot of conflict around us, and we were pressed into a conflict because of Pahalgam. What were your thoughts when that happened and then BrahMos did what it is supposed to do?
So when we developed BrahMos, I knew one day the BrahMos will be used and it will do its job. So when a general of Pakistan during an exhibition at Abu Dhabi asked me, why do you want to sell such a good missile? So we said that good product has to be sold. Then he said, will you sell it to Pakistan? So then I told him, for Pakistan it will be even free of cost. So
landed there.
That has happened there in the Operation Sindoor. Is a very remarkable day to us when the number of missiles, more than 15, finished all the terrorist points and also disabled Pakistan to come up. So they surrendered. So this is a great moment for the achievement for the development of BrahMos. So we are very happy. All the team people, I know how much hard work they put it to realize that. And this is a partnership between India and Russia. So I think this is a celebration for all of us.
This is a partnership between India and Russia. So that is why Moskova and Brahmaputra. So yes. That's the two rivers that have come together to form the word BrahMos.
Yes.
But how much of it is India, indigenous?
So initially when we started the whole program, it came like that. So Dr. Abdul Kalam, when he was saying that we have launched Agni as the 6th nation, we launched SLV-3 as the 7th nation. And when we did the nuclear test, again we were 6th nation. What is this 5th, 6th, 7th and all? When we will become the first country? So he posed this question number of times to me. So then he said, you have a break, go to Harvard. So I went to Harvard in 91. That was the time when that Gulf War was taking place. So my attention turned towards the Gulf War. And finally I found out the Tomahawk played a very crucial role there. So to destroy the assets of the enemy, to disable them, you need a cruise missile. So then I spoke to Dr. Kalam from there, saying that we need a cruise missile.
Cruise missile.
Yes. So then he said, when after you complete your course, let us discuss. So we did that. Then he suggested this, you have already you are working with the Russians. Why don't you ask them? They may have the basic technology and help you. So I went to Russia, talked to them. So the Director General, Dr. Effermo, said, yes, we are the only people in the whole world to have a supersonic engine. If you use that engine, your cruise missile will become a supersonic cruise missile. So I was just attracted by that. Then he showed the engine, discussed the details, and we found that number of tests have been done, and it is fully ready. And when we wanted to take the technology for engine to India and then to it, like what we have done in space, we have taken the technology of Vikas.
Viewers, you're with the hard facts, beginning a little early today. Viewers, the dust is beginning to settle. The day after US President Donald Trump claimed Iranian nuclear sites were, quote, completely and fully obliterated, unquote, satellite images are now revealing the extent of surface damage following an airstrike by American stealth bombers and massive ordnance penetrator or bunker buster munitions, bombs. Viewers, commercial satellite imagery, and you can see that on your screens. We've been able to access some of that. You can see, including visuals from Maxar Technologies, shows at least 6 visible impact craters. Not 1 but 6 on the mountain in Fordo, under which Iran's centrifuge halls are believed to be buried. Now, Fordo, viewers, is a very important site because it's here in the deepest depths of the mountain